Welcome to the Money Talks for Beginners podcast. My name is Frankie Ho, a money nerd. Each week you'll hear me talk about different ways to use money more effectively in your daily life to become a smarter finance person. Thanks for spending your time with me today. Now let's talk about money. Welcome back to the 15th episode of Money Talks for Beginners, called Types of Traders. Last episode, we talked about what are the differences between traders and investors, my experience as pretty much a day and swing trader, and later on now I'm more of an investor, and what are the pros and cons for both traders and investors. This episode, we are going to focus deeper and explore what the different types of traders that are out there and pretty much what are the pros and cons, and ultimately you can decide for yourself which type of trader you want to be yourself. So first of all, let's talk about how many types of traders there are. There are four main types of traders that are out there. The first one is called the scalp or scrape traders or scrapers. There's the day traders, swing traders, and position traders. So first of all, let us talk about scrape traders or scrapers. Scrapers are pretty much like the day traders of day traders with very, very short time horizon. They like to make a lot of trades in a day, usually making trades every couple seconds or minutes. So scalp traders are pretty much like wholesalers, willing to sell you for very small profit margin per unit, like maybe like 5 to 10% profit margin or per unit. But they sell a lot of volume. Think about like Walmart or Costco. Their profit margin really is not per item is not that big, but they sell a lot of in bulk, and that's how they make up a difference. Instead of selling per unit at a much larger profit margin, they're willing to sell for a lot smaller profit margin, but more frequently. That allows them to accumulate a lot of profit in the long run. So that's what scrape traders are pretty much, or scrapers are like. They just like sell you pretty much a lot of units and then or just buy and sell a lot to generate profit. So scalp traders don't really look for the large trade of, as I mentioned. Instead, they make a lot of small trades instead, and hopefully in time they accumulate enough winning trades to make it worth it to trade this way. So one very good thing about being a scraper is that you don't really need a large amount of money in order to trade this way, because you are just trying to make a small amount of money each time per trade. So you might have like $10,000 and you can probably start doing $5,000 possibly. Then you can start being a scalp or scrape trader, because it doesn't require a lot of money for you to do that, and hopefully you have the skill to use that $5,000 or $10,000 to pretty much make the money. So usually that's one of the biggest positive thing, is because of the money capital that is required to do this type of trading. But of course, if you can maintain that winning percentage, of course you need to also have a pretty decent cash flow in order to maintain your positions and to make sure you can take the opportunities that are given to you by the market to take advantage of the trading opportunities that are out there. In my opinion, I don't think you should really try to become a scalp or scrape trader, especially if you are a beginner, because usually the shorter time horizon, couple seconds and minutes, it's a lot more stressful compared to even a day trader, because it's so short. The shorter it is, usually people tend to become more emotional and more stressful when it happens, which will lead to more trading mistakes and errors. And we all know by now, mistakes in the trading / investment world means you're losing money. And sometimes if you lose a lot of money, it'll just be a vicious cycle where you lose some money, you try to win it back, then you become emotional, start revenge trading, and the cycle pretty much just goes back, and then you end up not executing your trading plan, even as a scrape trader. So then you end up losing more money, and you end up like just try to risk it more in order to make back the money, which is apparently not the way to do it, but it's in that moment, that's why you think it makes the most sense, because you're becoming more emotional instead of staying like cool-headed and try to make money that way. In addition, the time commitment required for this type of trading is just too much. Like, you're looking at the screen pretty much from the market when it's open to when it's closed, and you're looking for opportunities like for trades for every couple seconds or a couple minutes. Is way too intense. So I feel like it's not a good idea, especially if you have a day job and you're trying to learn how to trade. Scraping or scrapers, this type of trading I think is not the most ideal type of trading style to go first. There's other better styles that will make more sense for you, especially if you are just trading on the side or just trying to trade on as a part-time. Then it doesn't make a lot of sense to be a scrape trader. There's other options. So of course the time commitment is one of the biggest thing, and usually it's really hard to dedicate so much time towards doing this type of trading, and the extreme level of focus is really hard to maintain, especially in the long run, because you have to be there from 9:30 to 4, so in order to take advantage of opportunities. And a lot of people don't want to really commit that much or time and work to do this type of trading. So I wouldn't really recommend you also to do this type also of trading. And lastly, the more often and the more trading you do, the more likelihood of you making mistakes, because stats wise, the more frequently you're trading, the more likelihood of you increasing your chance of making mistakes. And as that happens, your winning percentage or the probability of you winning decreases as your amount of trading volume increases. So of course that also depends on yourself, of course, but that's just my opinion. And don't forget, as you trade more, there are transaction costs involved for trading, which can be quite costly in the long run too. But of course there are like apps like Wealthsimple and Robinhood, which allows you to trade for free. But of course they have other means or other ways to make money, which I think I'll just talk about that in the future too. But of course, that is just my opinion. You can of course make a lot of money as a scraper because of how frequently you're trading. It is you can of course make a lot of money by doing that. So, but because as I mentioned, the time commitment, a lot of scrapers really commit a lot of their time just focusing on specific sectors or types of securities, and sometimes even how long they're willing to spend their time or their timing of their trades in the market to become somewhat of an expert in that area to improve their winning percentage and remain profitable in the long run. For example, you might be like a scraper for high volume tech stocks, which is probably the most popular one because of the volume and the volatility and the liquidity involved for this type of sector in this type of industry itself. So a lot of people do that because you need to make sure the securities you're buying have great liquidity, because you want the bid and ask spread to be too big, or else it's really hard for you to make money. And also you want to make sure that you can obviously make money on it, because if the volatility for the price ups and downs are too low, it's hard for you to also make money on that, unless you're employing a different type of strategy like Ein Condor or some sort of ranging trading styles. Then there's obviously different sectors for that, but that's a different part. And of course you have to remain dedicated and discipline yourself to become a scraper, and you have to be super quick at making decisions and also super quick to react to new informations and chart readings. Of course, you have to stay up to date with current trends and news. So a lot of traders nowadays really use more for this type of trading for scrapers, or use more for algorithms or computer programs in order for them to trade, because it's hard for humans' mind itself to continue to stay focused pretty much from 9:30 to 4 p.m. to trade and not lose focus. So a lot of people really create an algorithm or a computer program just for their trading or scraping